Hello everyone, let's talk evolution. So today I want to talk to you guys about recovery and how we view recovery in the relationship with ourselves. I really think it's important that we learn to normalize recovery in the relationship with ourselves, and for those of us who have kids, with our children. Okay? You are only responsible for two things in this world. On your list of responsibilities, I know that what I'm about to say is probably going to contradict a whole lot of that, and your ego is going to push up against it a little bit. But the truth is, and I don't have any time in this video to get into it, but the fact of the matter is, you as a being, you are only responsible for yourself, how you feel, your well-being, how you perceive your reality, and what you create. You are responsible for yourself, and then the other thing that you're responsible for is your offspring, your children, until they become adults, and what we teach them. Those are our core responsibilities. So in the relationship with yourself and in the relationship with your children, it is important to normalize recovery. No human is guaranteed a problem-free life. In fact, it is guaranteed that we will have contrast, because we came here for evolution. And in order to grow, which is evolution, we have to experience challenges, problems, contrast. At some point, we realize how fragile life can be when we experience hardships, trauma, contrast. We realize how fragile life can be. And the same happens for our children. At some point, they've got to grow up and realize that life is actually quite fragile. Our bodies, our hearts, and our spirits can experience impact, and how we receive and perceive that impact. We can feel as though our hearts have been broken, as though our spirits have been broken, and our bodies can feel as though they've been broken by trauma, by stress, by the impact of life and an experience. I don't believe that we are ever broken and that anything that we as a being can be broken, but we can be impacted in a way that is how we perceive ourselves, and that is how we feel, and that our use of our body is limited, that our capacity in love and our emotions, that we are limited by that, and that mentally and spiritually we can feel limited in some way. We can't avoid it. It's a part of life, and so it's important for us to introduce into our day-to-day processing of life the narrative that recovery is a natural part of our process, and to teach our children, not to teach them to avoid life experience, not to try and impose and impress upon them fear. Don't go there, don't do this, you need to be afraid of this and you need to be afraid of that, because we don't experience life, we don't expand, and we don't grow when we avoid life, but rather to introduce normalcy around recovery. So to ask our children, when they do experience impact or contrast in life, and to ask ourselves this question as a go-to, as a natural go-to: what will be your recovery? When your child experiences trauma or impact, contrast, challenge, what will be your recovery? To start with ourselves, to look ourselves in the mirror and to say, that hurt, that really hit hard. What will be my recovery? What will my recovery be? Because I get to choose that. And to say to your children, what will your recovery be? Because that is your choice. You didn't have a choice in what has happened to you. You didn't have a choice in this experience. But you do get to choose your recovery. And then the second point being, how will you support your recovery? Or as I like to say, how is it that I will support my expansion? Number 3, what choice will you make from this point that will move you in the wanted direction or in the right direction? The right direction is not what everybody else thinks. It's not what I think. It's not what anybody else thinks. And that's what you want to teach your children. The right direction is the direction of your deepest desire. Where would you like to be? And what choices will support you moving in that direction from this point on? Point number 4. Remember that recovery has stages and it can initially be messy. So for you as a parent to be aware of that, and for you as an individual in your own recovery process to be aware that initially it can be messy, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be perfect. Create space for that ugly phase, the initial ugly phase of recovery. Point number 5. What processes and support systems will you foster in your recovery? Ask yourself that question and start to implement that. Start to make a list or an inventory of the support systems and the processes that will help you in the recovery, and encourage your children to do the same. So if it's a physical trauma, then what is it? Going to the doctor, of course, establishing what the result of the trauma is, and then communicating what sort of treatments and therapies will help you to recover. Emotionally, do the same thing. Spiritually, do the same thing. What is it that I can put into place to help me with my spiritual recovery, with my emotional recovery, with my psychological recovery, and with my physical recovery? Okay, so that you have a plan and a go-to, something that you can implement as a support as you go through your recovery process. And then remember that the most important thing to support your children and yourself in recovery or through recovery is compassion. And compassion is not, I want to fix it for them. I want to control the outcome for them. Compassion is acknowledging where they are and seeing where it is taking them, where they want to be, and how it supports their evolution. And the same for you. Being gentle, softly supporting them, softly being present, and softly allowing them to navigate their recovery in the way that serves them and suits them and feels most fitting to them, to your children and to yourself. And then sensitivity. Have the sensitivity to listen to yourself. Listen to what's happening with your body. Listen to what's happening to your emotions. Listening to what's happening with your thoughts. Listening to where you are, to what feels right and to what feels natural. And the same for your children, being sensitive around where they are and what it is they're experiencing, listening to them as they go through their recovery process. When they get stuck, accept and understand that that's part of their process and that they do have the tools, and gently guide them, have the sensitivity to guide them back to the processes and the plans and the support systems that they've decided they are going to make use of in their recovery. And then finally, instill hope. How do you instill hope? We've got to encourage our children to start to open up to more than just their little world. Hope comes from being inspired, being able to see a bigger picture. Hobbies, charities, being available to and being a part of something bigger. Helping them to see and to recognize a bigger picture. A reminder that the pain is temporary, and help them to give space to something to cling to. And that's why I say sometimes it is nice to be involved with something bigger than you, because that is what gives us gives us something to cling to and gives us a sense of hope when we feel like our lives have been devastated by an experience. That is not meant to limit us long term, is meant to contribute to our growth, but we can get stuck there physically, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually when we don't have a bigger picture, hope, and something to cling to. I hope that this helped you. If you have any questions, comment below, and I would happily answer those questions for you. Take good care of yourself, and allow recovery not to be something scary, something frightening, or a condition, or an energy, a mindset of something that has been broken and devastated beyond repair, something that needs to be accommodated or managed. That recovery is a normal part of life. It is a part of expansion and growth. Love and light. Chat to you next time.